Our final review of the day is going to be for the Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This is the sequel to the first Puss in Boots, which is a spinoff of the Shrek series, the DreamWorks franchise. How do you like the? Have you seen the new DreamWorks logo? How do you like the new DreamWorks logo?
So, you know what's funny is I like it until I see the boss baby controls. I'm like, oh, that's right, that is DreamWorks. God damn it. Cause yeah, but outside of that, I think it's actually really, I think it's really imaginative. I think it's really cool. I mean, let's be real. Ever since Marvel started doing the look at all the heroes, look at all the movies we've done, studios have started kind of going like, hey, we have shit too, and it's like, not everyone needs to do it, but DreamWorks though, they've done one of my favorite trilogies in How to Train Your Dragon. Like I'll always love DreamWorks for that and for the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. But yeah, the Boss Baby and Trolls, y'all can keep that.
Yeah.
No need to be reminded.
Yeah, because I kind of like the new DreamWorks logo. I know some people may be a little iffy on it because it's like, hey, they got some good stuff too. It's like, then you saw it, see it. It's like, oh, they got Kung Fu Panda, and I like Kung Fu Panda, and they got Shrek, and it's like, hey, people like Shrek, and they got How to Train Your Dragon, and hey, How to Train Your Dragon's pretty good. Then they get to Boss Baby. It's like, oh, fuck, well, okay, I don't really like Boss Baby all that much, but hey. Hey, it did make a lot of money, so okay, there you go. It did make a lot of money for it. But hey, there you go. So here with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, you have Antonio Banderas, who returns as the titular character, and after a life of adventure and being a hero and being a legend, Puss is on his last life. Being a cat obviously has 9 lives, and then now after a recent incident in the film at the beginning of the movie, he gets down to his last life, and he's like, well, maybe it's time to actually hang up the boots. Hang up the cape, hang up the fedora, and the sword, and maybe it's time to retire, and just be a regular old house cat. Maybe it's just time to give up all that stuff. But an opportunity kind of comes along where he can make a wish and he can bring back all of his other lives and return to the legend that he once was of the famous Puss in Boots. With this movie here, I will say it's kind of a little bit of a different animation style than previous. Than I've kind of a little bit different than I've seen in other DreamWorks animated movies, which I think is kind of nice. Like the way the action is and the way it kind of looks like, almost looks like a comic book, almost like a motion comic book, almost like something you'd see at a like Spider-Verse a little bit, which I thought.
They stole Spider-Verse animation. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, because I was like, because this looks like very much reminiscent of something like the way like some of the characters like move during the action scenes. It's like seems like very reminiscent of Spider-Verse there, and when I tell you there are also other like great things about this movie as well, because I was a fan of the first Puss in Boots movie that came out in 2011. I'm surprised it's been.
The hell out of the first one.
Oh, we say?
Oh, I was just saying I dubbed the hell out of the first one.
Oh, yeah. And I'm surprised it's been like 11 years since the first one. Because, yeah, I did like that one quite a bit. And I really enjoyed this one. I think it's actually one of my favorite, one among my favorite animated films of the year. Actually, this and the animated Pinocchio film, the Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And I think both work for very different ways. This is a very fun, comedic action adventure film. Like seeing the chase to, from all these different characters who want to, get the wish from themselves. Like in this movie, you have Florence Pugh, who was, I didn't recognize her voice at all. She was playing Goldilocks. It's Goldilocks and the Three Bears, of course, because it's, the Puss in Boots, the Shrek franchise. They're going to have references to all the fairy tale stuff. Like one of the big antagonists in this is Jack Horner, who I never knew of before, who's voiced by John Mulaney. Yeah, who's like part of the nursery rhyme and everything like that. So you have him as a big villain, and there's another character here who I won't spoil, who kind of comes in the movie, who does a really good job, who's a really good threat in this movie, who I really liked a lot. That I think they do a lot of really great stuff with that character. Also, you have Salma Hayek in this movie who's in here, who helps out Puss, and they kind of have a frenemy type relationship there, as she plays Kitty Softpaws, who Salma Hayek is, always good, in her kind of, especially in a voice role there. And her and Antonio Banderas have amazing chemistry, fantastic chemistry, off the wall chemistry there. So it really works very well. Yeah, I mean, I love the villains of this. I love the action of this series. I love the adventure of it. They do a lot of good kind of funny gags in the movie too that work really well. Like for instance, when he's going over like how he lost all his lives, I thought was very good. Where he ends up in like this kind of pseudo, kind of like this, like I said, retirement home. Where he's like, okay, I'll just be a regular kitten and being taken care of by some crazy cat lady. And just how he just like gets so beaten down by life. I thought that was like really good what they do with that. And you guys also have kind of another character here, kind of comes who's played by Harvey Gillian, who people know he's in What We Do in the Shadows. He's in the TV show. He also
Yes.
just recently did some voice work on Harley Quinn the animated series because he was Nightwing. He's also in that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so he's pretty good in that too. So here he also puts in a good performance as like this dog that pals around with Puss in Boots, and Kitty Softballs, that I thought was really great. Yeah, man, I had a and with the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, I thought they do really well too. Like kind of their whole relationship too. Yeah, man, I had a great time watching this movie from beginning to end. I can't really say really much bad about the movie. There's a lot of great, like I said, a lot of great comedic bits. The stuff they do with Jack Horner, the stuff they when they bring in other fairy tale characters. Like there's like a famous fairy tale character that comes in this movie with Jack Horner, because his character is all about collecting like all these big magical fairy tale items, like famous. Like he has a whole collection. Like he has Cinderella's glass shoe, and he'll have Excalibur and everything like that. And there's a special character that kind of comes in here that's really funny that I think people really like a lot. That pays off. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I'm in a good mood. Hey, it's New Year's. I'm gonna give this movie This Is Cinema. I'm gonna give it This Is Cinema for Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, because I think it's a great family movie. I think adults can also really enjoy themselves watching it. They do some really great stuff with like Harvey Gillian, who's the doll. They do some good comedic bits that a lot of adults were laughing at. Yeah. So yeah, I absolutely really love this movie a lot. So this is cinema for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Okay. Um. Yeah. For me, so just to go over a couple things that I really liked. That villain that you're talking about. Um. It was weird because I've been seeing a lot of reviews say like this is like Logan but for kids movies, and I was like, that's an insane comparison. But honestly, it shockingly tracks because you actually put the thread out of oh shit, Puss is down to his last life. Like oh fuck, and whenever this character shows up, um, I'll be real, dude. I got freaked out multiple times. I was like, oh fuck, am I watching the Batman again? I'm like, oh fuck, like that character is a great foil and is really horrifying. Um, to a shocking degree, actually. In the switch up in the animation style really lets that character breathe. The action is straight up badass. It is badass. There's a scene early on in the movie where Puss is taking on like this like almost like this tree monster. In the way that he ends up defeating it, I went, that's fucking cool. Um, Antonio Banderas, fun fact, he kind of came back to this role after he had a heart attack. I want to say it's about 5 years ago, and how it kind of gave him this new perspective on life and how he really enjoyed playing this character. He's like, I kind of want to do this again, and apparently that's what kind of led to the whole last wish aspect and all that. So you really feel like this is can't believe I'm saying this. This is one of the best performances of Antonio Barrett and Banderas' career, and that's not me being hyperbolic. Like, whenever this one character we mentioned shows up, like Puss has like a panic attack, and it's actually scary. I was like, God damn, this is fucking heavy, and him even seeing his life flash in front of his eyes, you're like, oh wow, okay. Um, the last big battle, because of course there was one of those, is choreographed really well. It's really badass too. John Mulaney does a great job, just like he did earlier this year with Chip and Dale. He does a great job with the voice acting. Pero, who's the dog that you're mentioning, he's fucking wonderful. His origin story, it's played for a laugh, but it's tragic as fuck when they tell you what happened. I was like, holy shit. But honestly, this is a really great message for kids about really respecting the life you have and not taking it for granted, which is a shockingly deep message for a kids film. I was like, okay, DreamWorks, you're putting in some work. I appreciate that. I read a couple reviews talking about like how the middle dragged, and honestly, I didn't feel that because I was looking for, I was like, was there anything I really didn't like about this? And no, I love the villains. They have a really good spin on the Goldilocks and the Three Bears dynamic. Um, as I mentioned, you mentioned that character who makes a surprise cameo with Mulaney's Jack Horner. First off, Jack Horner is actually really creepy. They did a great job on that. And this character that shows up, there's a point where he tells Jack Horner what a piece of crap he is, and that was such a funny laugh out loud moment because it comes from nowhere. I was like, oh wow, that was amazing. Um, yeah, this is one of those movies that um, I didn't see it in the theater. Um, I watched it at home, but I might go see this in 3D if weather permits this week. Like I had a blast with this movie, and I would imagine seeing this in 3D would kick ass. So um, this is cinema for me too. It might crack my top 10. I still got some stuff to watch, but um, I cried at multiple points in this movie because there are some emotional beats. There is a mid-credit scene that um, I'll say, oh god, I'm trying to not spoil, but I'm intrigued but also terrified. is how I'll put it.
Mm. Oh,
Just
I didn't know there was a
because
mid credit scene. I didn't stay. Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah. Basically, I'll tell you off mic.
okay.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. That's what I'll say. But yeah, this is a movie that if you're not a kid, it doesn't really matter. Like anyone will enjoy this movie. If you don't at least enjoy this movie, I don't really know what you're looking for. And to your point earlier, Josh, this isn't maybe a four-way tie because there's been some good animated shit this year. Like Rescue Rangers was great, Pinocchio was great, Turning Red was great, and this is great. And I kind of go back and forth on which one I like more on a daily basis because I like them all for different reasons. But yeah, this is cinema. This is a great fucking movie. Please go watch it.
Yeah. Two, this is cinemas. Four, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish.